Welcome everybody. I need just 2-3 more minutes to be ready. So first I wanted to at least let you know that I'm here and their class is on. We'll begin literally in about 3 minutes. Okay, so hold. Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining. Tonight is a very powerful night, special night. First of all, it's Chodesh Nissan, and the whole month of Nissan is super potent. I'm apologizing again for the candy. I hope I'll only need one, just to clear things up. Could be annoying, so I really apologize. I wouldn't do it if I wouldn't have to. So tonight is Beis Nissan. Beis Nissan is the yard side of the 5th Chabad Rebbe, Shalom Dov Ber. What's unique this year is that this year is the 100th yard site. And 100 is a very powerful number in terms of the klolus of a person's avoda. It's 100 years since he passed away. So there's an energy of that great tzaddik, and the one who laid the foundation for the what he called he said, Anachnu, we're from Mir Zenendach in the Sikha in Torah Shalom. He says, Mir Zenendach from Malchus Beis David. And he created the yeshiva, which was, he called it the Chayale Beis David, the army that's going to go fight the wars before Mashiach comes to pave the way for the Geula. Literally the army of the kings of David, of the royal family, the royal army. His Chassidus is deep, like anybody that learns Chassidus Chabad knows. To really get into the thick of things and really have an understanding of Chassidus, one should learn the Memorim of the Rebbe Rashab. He's called the Rambam of Chassidus because he clarified everything in such a clear way. Now, how many years ago? Give me a second. None. "32 years ago, on this very day, in 1988, the Rebbe said an interesting sikha, a very interesting sikha. It's one of the well-known sikhas in Chabad on that date, and I'd like to learn that tonight because it explains the unique relationship between the leader of the generation and the generation. It gives a very interesting perspective and how much we get from the leader, how essential the Jewish people it is to every single Jew individually that the leader of the Jewish people. That's number one. And how much the leader needs us, and how vital that is, how essential that is. Now, all of this becomes very important, dafka in the time that we're in, meaning at the very end of the exile, the beginning of the Geula. You see, we always had great Jewish leaders. It wasn't always emphasized so much, and especially in the last couple of 100 years, always that the Jewish people had one leader. There were many leaders. There were always the rabbis, different communities had different rabbis. The concept of one leader was what Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu in the early generations that went out of Mitzrayim. Hashem said, Daber echad l'dor. Hashem told Moshe regarding Yeshua, there's only one leader to the generation. There's not many. And that's because there really is only one leader. But when we're not in a time of full divine communication with the world, like we were in the earlier times when the Beis Hamikdash stood, and then in the right as we're coming into the Mashiach era, that idea of this one leader the leader is not so pronounced, not so visible, not so known. The ultimate leaders we know that are going to be in the end are going to be from the household of David, the Malchus Beis David, or the one Melech, Melech HaMashiach. But as a leader, as a interlude into the Malchus of Mashiach, there's already the family of Beis David, the family of Beis David that begins to germinate in the Jewish people, that we begin to recognize the leader. The Baal Shem Tov was the leader. He introduced Judaism to a whole new world, brought incredible new insights. And it wasn't just for his followers, it was for all the Jewish people, for all of eternity. And he exhibited the element of leadership. He also exhibited the element of kingship, of royalty. Baal Shem Tov, the previous Chabad Rebbe, writes in a Sikha, writes in a talk, Roimemus Melech Adir, the exaltedness of a powerful monarch, of a powerful king. Kila is nothing compared to the roimamus of the Baal Shem Tov, to the exaltedness, the fear the students had for the Baal Shem Tov. Obviously, it's not a fear of a gun. Baal Shem Tov didn't have any guards with pistols, with guns, It's the fear of the exaltedness. It's the woe. It's that separation. The Baal Shem Tov, on the one hand, sometimes camouflaged himself like a simple yid, and he would go to the marketplaces, and he would talk with people, as if he was just, obviously when the Baal Shem Tov came, his powerful eyes, his powerful face, always captivated the audience, but he was able to kind of, blend in and not display himself as the regal great leader, because he chose to hide. But when the Baal Shem Tov was with his students, and he allowed his true light to shine, whoa, it was real exaltedness. That's why it's interesting. Which means there was already the return of kingship, malchus, melech. You started seeing in the Jewish people the malchus. Why? Because it was already the beginning. Because from the Baal Shem Tov began the germinating of messianic light in the world, Mashiach's light. So the idea that there is a Mashiach as well, an anointed one, a melech, returned to the Jewish people. That's why, there is a phrase, I once spoke about this, called, where we refer to, a Rebbe is referred to as an Admur. Admur Medis, Admur. When did it start, this idea of Admur? Chassidim use Admur. What does Admur stand for? Adoneinu, Moireinu, V'Rabbeinu. That's the meaning of Admur. Our master, our Moreinu, our teacher. No, Rabbeinu is more teacher. Adoneinu, our master, our ruler. Not really the word. It's like the idea of a king. Moireinu, V'Rabbeinu. Maybe our ruler. Why did they, and again, it started from the Baal Shem Tov, the concept of an Admor. Rabbeinu, I understand. That always existed. People always had a Rabbeinu. Yelamdeinu Rabbeinu, teach us, teacher. But Adoneinu, our master, we don't see that being referred to. Only the days when Adoneinu David, when there were kings. Our Adain, our master. The idea to refer to as a Rebbe, as a master, is because the Baal Shem Tov recaptured or revealed the lineage of David HaMelech that was in the world. He opened it up, passed on. In this, so therefore, as we get closer to Mashiach, and we see how did Chassidism work? Everybody was deeply connected and in a deep love. The love is unbelievable. The love between a Rebbe and a Chassid, between the students and the teacher that Chassidism brought was unheard of before. And the Ibegegebenkeit, which means the total devotion and commitment of the Chassidim to the Rebbe, was also something that was new, meaning in terms of recent history. And it was legendary. And people know that the Chassidim, and then, of course, the bigger the Rebbe, the higher and the truer. The greater the master, the greater the reverence and the bittul. This sikha, as I mentioned, explains the depth of this relationship in a very unique way. And again, as we're waiting for Mashiach Tzidkenu right now, and Mashiach obviously is the ultimate master, ruler, and king, we should experience and understand and appreciate this relationship of us to our leader. So let's start. Now this sikha was said about a little over a month, about a month and 2 weeks, about 6 weeks after the Rebbe lost his dear Rebbitzin, his wife. Rebbitzin passed away, and all the sichos afterwards, the Rebbe was always referring to a pasuk, which is a pasuk from, where's the, I imagine from Mishlei? No, Kehelis. In Kehelis it says, V'achai, and the living one, yitin aliboy, to take it to the heart. Simply, this is always understood regarding the idea that chas v'shalom, if there's a loss of life, those that are living should take it to heart. So the Rebbe very much was talking about this idea of achai yitin aliboy. What do we have to take to heart? Over here he's going to say an interesting pirush, which he seems to have said it earlier already in a different talk, but here he's just referring to it. Achai yitin aliboy means that we constantly have to take to our heart to increase life. Achai yitin aliboy. That life we have to take into our heart. That means that it's not enough to be alive. We have to work on being alive. We have to increase life. Every moment you're living, you have to be more alive. Moving regarding the concept of the living should take to their heart. Moving. Now, when do you have to take notice of increasing in your life, making yourself more alive? Well, you have reminders, the Rebbe says. Every time you have a momentous occasion that you have in your life, or rather, no, every time you have a specific date that is unique in your life because it's an anniversary of something that happened, like a birthday, for instance, that is supposed to, get your attention. You're now passing through a unique moment in your life because you're celebrating something special that happened. It could be a birthday, an anniversary, and something like this. So something has been added in your life, all right? So now you have to make yourself more alive as a result of this. That's the Rebbe's idea. When this date repeats itself yearly, this is supposed to add in the idea of life. Like we mentioned earlier, like when we spoke regarding a birthday, same will also apply to anniversary. You're born, and now you come to that state, and you hit a marker in your life. So now you're supposed to be more alive because you're alive, and so that should serve as a reminder. Life has to always increase. And if this is meant, it applies to every single person individually. If this applies just to private people, so the public individuals, hanasi hu akoil. When we speak about the nasi, speaking about the leaders, nasi is the word that is used for the leaders, which, by the way, is a term that kind of until the Lubavitcher Rebbe wasn't used so much. Nesiim, whoever used. Now we know now, the first 12 days of the month of Nissan, every day we say the parsha of the Nesiim. First day of Shevet Yehuda, second day whatever. I think it's Reuven and so forth. Oh, Yisachar. These are the Nesiim that brought everyday karbonis, the princes of the heads of the tribe. But and then when you had a Sanhedrin, the head of the Sanhedrin was called the Nasi. In the Torah, however, the word Nasi is reserved to the king. What's the real meaning of a Nasi? It means the king. Asher Nasi Yachta, if the king sins. So what does it mean? It means a melech. Rashi says, how do you know it's a melech? It brings from the Gemara, I think in Masechtas Krisus, that it's the person. Why is he called Nasi? Nasi means he's elevated. You can't say on someone he's elevated. Who's elevated? A lot of people are elevated. But even if you're elevated, which means you're an important, dignified person and you have a certain authority, but are you really elevated? There are people who have higher authority than you. So you're not completely elevated. Who is the elevated? The one who's the most high. He has no authority over him. Now, there's no such a person that doesn't have any authority because God has the authority over everyone. Oh, so the Nasi, when the Torah speaks about a Nasi as a human being, we're speaking about the person who doesn't have any authority over him other than God. Ein al gabav el Hashem alakov. There's no one above him other than the Eibishter. He's like the highest authority. That's the Toyar Nasi. What's unique is the Rebbe always referred to his predecessors, the tzaddik, the leaders of the Jewish people from the Baal Shem Tov and onward, including himself, even though he doesn't talk about himself in the terms of himself, but he talks about himself, as we're going to see later in the talk, as an extension of his father-in-law's leadership. But he's referring to a new term that the Jewish people haven't heard throughout the ages, referring to it as a Nasi. And based on that, he would always speak about the concept of Nasi Hador, the leader of the generation. So he says, if we say that special dates are supposed to add in a person's life, and if that's by private people, it applies to the leader, because the leader is a more inclusive human being, and therefore his life has more to it, because he includes the life of others as well. He's the leader of others, so his life is a more potent life. So when we say that life has to increase, it obviously applies to the leaders as well, and even more so to the leaders. Since the Nasi is everybody, so his life is everybody's life. So how much more so that special dates in their life, that unique times in their lives, are supposed to add addition in life. The living should take to his heart. This applies to their own private life, if you can say private life by them. That what? That there should be a shleimus, a perfection in life, more than what they had before. We're supposed to grow. So now that you have this great monumental occasion coming, it's a special date, something happened, a birthday or something like that, the Nasi has to increase his perfection over his perfection that he had before that. See, it's a very interesting idea. You'll see a footnote. The Rebbe immediately needs us to appreciate what means a true leader. A true leader is someone who doesn't have any defect. A regular person, you can say, we're all missing, we're all lacking. If we're lacking, improve something. It's almost like when I'm sorry to say this, but when we come to our birthday, and we know you're supposed to take upon yourself to add something, to fix something. Like, we have a whole smorgasbord of what we can fix. We have a whole, there are so many, and then we give up and we say we're going to fix anything, because what are we going to start fixing? There's so much to fix. We're going to fix something small, but that's what you have to do. You have to find a small thing amongst 1,000 things that we need improvement on. Find at least one thing and improve. The tzaddikim, and especially Nesiim, they're in a level they're perfect already. They're actually perfect. They can't say there's anything lacking. But you also can't say that they can't be more. Why? Because the Eibishter is infinite. So perfection has to rise to a higher perfection. And that's regarding to themselves. But also, when we say it has to add by them, it means also in their primary function. Their primary function is not themselves. Their primary function are their people, tzayin marisam, the flock, that they're in charge over. I mentioned earlier that he says that. So again, just a point before I say this. So again, a Nasi comes a special date. There has to be an increasement regarding his own life and regarding his impact on others. Because that's his main thing. You can't just say, okay, my added vigor and energy and expanded life is only for myself. Because your main objective is not your private life. As a leader, your main objective is your flock. But then he adds over here in the bottom, this idea that a tzaddik is always perfect. We're talking about higher perfection. He says, because really in truth, we have to assume that every Jew is kosher, has the status of kosher, because we can't. So therefore, really, all Jews have done the best they can. Yisroel, the leaders of the Jewish people, everything about them is always perfect. It just means something higher. Once he established that that's true about an individual, the Rebbe has a style that's very unique. He always builds a case, piece by piece, block by block. So he starts, every person on a special date is supposed to increase their life. From there he says, especially the leader, regarding their own life, and now, that is Zeb and Nidin done, in this particular case, Beis Nissan, which is Beis Nissan, the day of the Histalkus of the Rebbe Rashab, which is one thing special about the day. And as I said, today it's actually 100 years, so it's a very big yahrzeit. But we're going to see in the Sikha, the Rebbe pays more attention to something, I guess, that was more personal to the Rebbe. And that is not so much the passing and the yahrzeit of his predecessor's predecessor, but the fact that it was the beginning of the leadership of his predecessor. The beginning of the Nesius, the beginning of the leadership of of my father-in-law, the Nasi of our generation, the leader of our generation. This day, Beis Nissan, is a specific day, is a special day, in the life of the Nasi, the Yom Meyuchid be'inyan hanasiyas. First of all, it's special in his life, but it's in regards to Nasias, in regards to his leadership, because Haschalas Nasias, because this is the beginning of his Nasius, the beginning of his leadership. Shal Nasidarenu, of the leader of the generation. HaKoileles, being that this is the first, the beginning of everything is always the germ, the seed for all the future. HaKoileles is Kol Hemshech HaNasias Ad Bias Goyel Tzedek. That includes within it, the entire Hemshech, the entire continuity of his Nasius, of his leadership, until the coming of Mashiach. So the first day includes it all. Based on this, it's understood. So when it comes this day every year, this adds a very great elevation, something in regards to his leadership. As great as the power of his leadership increases to a much higher level, it is elevated in a much higher level because the anniversary. And again, how much more so when you're how much more so when we're talking about 100 years. Ketziva v'aras Chazal, like Chazal say, Malin b'kodesh. You're always supposed to increase. And he brings like the same idea, and he brings regarding to Rosh Hashanah that it's not stam you're increasing. That every year on Rosh Hashanah it's a whole new energy of life. So the change is not just like comes a new year, and today was a Rosh Hashanah actually. The first day of Nissan was a Rosh Hashanah for kings, also related to this, to a union of a melech. That the increase is it's like a whole new life force that comes into this idea. So the Rebbe feels very much because this is his father-in-law and it's his Rebbe. And he's a continuation of it, then on the beginning day of the Nesias, as it comes around, and soon he's going to explain that the year that he's talking about, which was 1988, was a specific year. And even more pertinent and important to this discussion. So there needs to be new vigor. That's so beautiful. It's so powerful. There needs to be a new energy in the king, in the leader. And, as we're going to see, in the bond between the leader and his subjects. And then he also adds in Ura 9, he says that the day of his Beis Nissan, since this is the day that he became a Rebbe, it includes all his future accomplishments, everything that's going to happen. This is the beginning. This has it all. But he says that day also includes all the accomplishments of the previous teacher, all the Rebbes before him. Since he is sitting, he's a continuation from them. The previous Rebbe from the Rebbe Rashab from the Rebbe Marash from the Tzemach Tzedek from the Mittler Rebbe from the Alter Rebbe from the Mizritcha Magid from the Baal Shem Tov. A Rebbe takes all the collective energy of his predecessors, of that which he represents. In this case, it's one lineage of Chabad Chassidicism, which really, on a more general level, is a continuation of Chassidus, the general lights of Chassidus. So the one who's Mamal HaMakom, the one who sits on the seat and fills the seat, first funnels and takes all the powers from what was built before him, and then builds on that, increases and builds on that. So this day contains within it the entire life force passed down from the previous ones, and the beginning of the future. I was mentioning the whole time that the Rebbe refers to leadership of the Rabbeim, of the Chassidic masters. He refers to it as Nasi. So you see over here a very interesting A'ara number 8, footnote 8, in which you can see even stronger how the Rebbe literally looks at it as Nasi, and the higher meaning of Nasi, that Nasi means a king, not just a prince, not just a leader of a tribe, but the real king. He's saying, one of the things that was mentioned is that it's the passing of the Rebbe Rashab, and it's the beginning of the Nesius of my father-in-law, he says. So on the word my father-in-law, on the word Admor, he says, how does the previous Rebbe, the Rayatz, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, take the leadership from his father? What gave him the right to be the Rebbe, kind of? He says, because what gave him not the right, but the passageway to that leadership? He says, by him, it was unquestionable. By other Rebbes, there was always a possibility of a competition, of someone else. And sometimes there was some kind of like a tension. By the Rebbe Marash, when he was Rebbe, he had how much brothers? I think 7 other brothers, all worthy of being Rabbeim. His father wanted Dafke him, the youngest one, to be. And actually, the Chabad broke into various different groups to a different Rabbeim. There was Liadi Rebbe, and just slipped my mind now. Ugh, bothers me. It's a difference. There were, I think, another 5 branches of Chabad during that time. And then, but he says by the previous Chabad Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, he's the Benoi Yechidai, he's the one and only son. He says, Benoi Yechidai. And therefore, he says, Benoi Sheyorish HaMalchus. So he inherits the kingdom, the Hanesias, and the leadership. The Ein Tzarech Meshicha, he doesn't even need anointment. The question over there is, do you anoint when you're dealing with a king? A king becomes king by being anointed. One of the things that Moshe Rabbeinu made was the anointing oil. And it's going to be used, the whole entire thing has been saved, it's going to be used to anoint a melech. So it was used back by David HaMelech was anointed. So the question is, do you anoint the next generation? So it says like this really a child yarshins the Yerusha. He inherits the Yerusha. He doesn't need to be anointed. He gets it as an inheritance. Only a new king, like David, who was initiating a new lineage, needed to be anointed. But others, his son, Shlomo, doesn't have to be anointed. The reason why they did anoint Shlomo, I think, was because there was those who contested his kingship. They wanted to go to Adinayahu. So since there was a competition, you had to anoint him. It says by the Friediger Rebbe, there was no competition. He was the only son. Ve'ein etzarich mashiach. The yechida is the only one. She'ein makam lamachloikis. And there's no room for any kind of an argument. V'nasa melech v'nasi teikuf miyad. It happens instantly. So this also explains why it happened on Beis Nissan. The very day of his father's passing, he was automatically Rebbe. There was no time. Because by his father, the Rebbe Rashab, even though Bepnimius he became Rebbe the moment his father passed away, the world can't be without a Rebbe, but in a visible place, on a visible level, he didn't. He actually refused being a Rebbe for 11 years. Chabad went through a very, very dark time. The previous Rebbe refers to that period of time from when the Rebbe Marash passed away, when I think he was only 48 years old, to when his son took over, as Churban Lubavitch, the time that Lubavitch was almost destroyed. Because the Rebbe Rashab did not want to be a Rebbe. but the next generation, it happened instantly. His father passed away, he's a Rebbe immediately. Not because he's the only son. All right. Now, V'yash lahoisef Beis. Now we continue. We can add on and we can further elucidate or further explain the bond, the connection between this idea of achayitin aliboy, that the living should take to their heart, which means which means that we have to increase life, particularly regarding the nasi. This nasi or melech regarding a prince and a king. Paisek Rambam, the Rambam hands down a verdict. And when the Rambam wants to describe the position of the king and his relationship to the people, the Rambam refers to the king, Shuhu Leiv Kol Kahal Yisroel. The Rambam gives it a definition. The Rambam says the king is the heart of the entire congregation, of the congregation of Israel. The Jewish king, he's their heart. The Rebbe says, so since the Rambam defines the king as the heart, what's the content of the heart? In the heart is the blood, which, as we know what the pasuk says, the blood is the soul. That enlivens the whole body. Since the melech is the heart, what's the heart? The heart is the pumper of life. The heart is the one that has the life force, because the life force of the soul is in the blood, and the heart sends the blood out into circulation to bring life to the body. Let's look at that a little more specific. Melech Rashatevis Moyach Leiv Kavod. The Melech, if you look at the word Melech, so Rambam says that the king is the heart. But it does say that Melech has the acronym of the word Melech, the Hebrew word for king. You have a Mem, which is Moyach, brain. Then you have a Lamed, which is Leiv, heart. And then you have a Chaf, which is Kavod, which means liver. Mind, heart, brain, heart, and liver. Where does this say? This is already brought down from the Rishonim. The Rishonim want to explain. It says, Magain Oves Laharash Batz, Perek Hey Mem Yutes, Mareches Yutes maybe. And also Erkei HaKenuyim Labal Seder Hadoros. And then Itzutze Oros and Itzutze Zohar, both in Kabbalistic works and also in other writings, where it says that Melech is Rosh Tevis, Moyach, Leiv, and Kavod, which, as the Zohar refers to these three limbs, Tlas Shlitun Inun. The Zohar says that there are three rulers in the body: Moyach, Liba, Kavda, the brain, the heart, and the liver. So what comes out over here is that the king really includes within himself other aspects. He's also the brain of the Jewish people. He's also the liver of the Jewish people. Each one obviously representing a different function and a different nuance or a different aspect of the relationship. Rambam, however, points out that the king is the heart of the people, emphasizing something unique that he's going to explain relating to the heart. And the difference between them. And over here, primarily, he was going to explain the difference of the heart and the brain. The brain, the brain and the heart are obviously both vital organs. Without a brain, you can't live, and without a heart, you can't live. The moyach is the head of the energy of the life force of the body. The main dwelling. I'm going to go get a tea because what's happening over here. So the main dwelling of the neshama is in the brain. And from the brain it is diffused to all the limbs. And every limb receives chayus and power that is fitting for him, according, the brain is the headquarters, and the brain sends out, obviously the source of the entire nerve center, and it controls the operation of the entire body. And it sends the unique signals and particular powers to the various different limbs. Obviously, different parts of the body have different functions, and they all trace their roots back to the brain, which kind of conducts the function and the particular energies of all the limbs of the body. And therefore, that's why we said earlier that the brain is one of the three rulers. It rules of the body, it controls the body. The brain has control over the limbs. When in the brain there is that trigger, or the desire, so to speak, to move one of your limbs, to pull back, to whatever it is, to walk, to stand, to go, the body just works in perfect harmony. It's completely bottled and surrendered to the moyach. Over the limbs of the body, to lead them according to the dictates of the mind that's in the brain. However, what the Rebbe what he's pointing over here out, is the brain is a leader. It's the roish, it's the head. There is the body, and there is the first, then there is like a leader that is separated from the body. When you look even on the physical body, the body is one unit, and then there is a connecting, like a plug, which is the neck, and on top it sits independently the head. The leader is here, the body is there, and this is called roish. It's the first state of energy, force, and life, and the head transmits it to the body. The body needs this leader, or else it doesn't have neither its life and neither any guidance or any organization of its powers. If it would just go into the body plain, everything would just be totally mixed up. It needs that leader, but the leader is still an independent, I want to call it independent. A head can't live without a body. The head has to be attached to a body, but to a certain degree, not independent, but and not separate. There must be a good word that I'm missing. That you have something obviously attached, but yet semi-separate. Hakavid, that's regarding the brain. We'll appreciate this much more once we see how he describes the heart. Hakavid, the liver, kuloi dam, is completely blood. Karush, that gets already congealed, or that the entire liver is like congealed. No, I think it means that in the liver is congealed blood. That's what Rashi says. He doesn't, so it's blood, but not blood that circulates. It's blood that, and he doesn't go into what its function is regarding the body. He just skims over it. But the heart, hu chayes haguf atzmai. The heart is not the leader of the body. It's the oomph of the body itself. It's the energy of the body. It's the life force of the body itself. Why? The whole business of the heart is the mover of the blood. And what's the blood? Blood is the life of the body. So what's the heart? The life of the body. That's it. And that's why the heart is in the center of the body, not detached or separated, sitting on its own place and just leading from above. It's not that. Because in the heart is the place where the blood is. And through the heart runs the blood, and the chayas runs adam, that is enclosed in the blood of the bedama nefesh. The chayos, the life force, is enclosed in the blood. The blood doesn't make us live. The spiritual life force that's in the blood. But where does this blood, which contains this life, it exits the heart. It is el kol evarim, down through to all the limbs. The soiviv, and then it circulates around and around, the spirit of life. The hadam, and the blood toich kol evarim, throughout all the limbs. The hagidim hamuvlaim behem, and all the arteries that are absorbed in the limbs. And then v'chayzer al alev, and then it goes back to the heart. This is actually quoting words from Tanya. Over there, the Alter Rebbe explains how all the Jewish people, how the Shechina is called the heart, and we are the limbs, and therefore we have to get along with each other, not to have, God forbid, any clogged arteries. When we don't get along with each other, we're not allowing the life force to go from limb to limb, and therefore it's causing the Shechina, who's the heart, same idea, the Shechina is the king, to be, God forbid, have a heart disease. So, a healthy body, a healthy heart. The heart is part of the body, but it's the pneumius of the body. The body are the limbs of the chitzonius, the external. The blood is the pneumius, it's its life, and the heart manages the blood, pumps the blood. So the heart is really the life of the body. V'nimtza comes out. She'ikar inyan hachayis t'cholei varei haguf, that the primary element of life of the body, kasher and alev, is connected dafka to the heart more than the mind. Ki adam hu hanefesh habalev, because the blood is the soul that's in the heart. Lo ira gilui v'amshach mimene, and not just a revelation of life. It's not like the heart has life. The heart is alive, and something is drawn from, like in the brain. The brain remains up there. There is a diffusement. Something is being diffused. Some energy, some hamshacha, some life is being drawn from the brain to illuminate the body, to illuminate and give life and direction and power to the body. From the heart, it's not some hamshacha, some rays, some expression of it. It's the blood, it's the life blood itself going from the heart, giving, in other words, it would almost be like that the heart itself travels throughout the body. Because what's the heart? The blood. And the blood itself goes to the body, not some inspiration from the heart itself. From the brain, we can say inspiration from the brain goes out, not the brain itself. Here, it's the heart itself that literally is interwoven in the body, and it's its life force. And that's why he brings that he brings an Ara 20, a Geshmaka thing. For this reason, the way the brain influences the limbs and sends it life, is also in a manner that it can give individual different things. It doesn't give to every limb the same. Because every limb receives from the brain in accordance to its chemistry, and according to its... When the life force goes from the heart, it's the same blood and the same life. The heart is not thinking, well, this blood is going to the toe, this blood is going to your index finger, and this blood is going to go whatever to any other part of the body, or even to the brain. The heart gives equal. Why? Since the brain is not giving itself, the brain is giving an influence. So an influence, there is a difference in what kind of influence you're influencing. But the heart is not influenced. The heart, who he is and what he is, his very substance, his entire being, is being infused in the body. And for that reason, it's everywhere the same. It's life itself. That's what he's saying. This is the essence of life. It's life itself. There's another idea over here where you see the idea that the heart is the real center of life. Life is deeply connected to movement. What's the simplest way to check? When mothers are, always concerned about their children, and when a baby is too quiet, a mother goes to check. So you can stand by the door and wait if you hear the baby. Go in and try to hear the breathing. Or another thing you're looking for is if you see any movement. You see any movement, you know they're alive. Baruch Hashem. So, because anything that's alive moves. Something can sit still for a little while. And what happens when, God forbid, for whatever reason, there's a grizzly bear in the area and you want to pretend dead? The one thing you're going to try to do is stop all movement, because a living thing moves, a dead thing is dead, is motionless. So chayas tenua, chayas is connected with movement. Now, if you look at the brain is not moving, or at least not a detectable movement. The heart doesn't stop moving. Hashem should help it. Should never stop moving. Just pumps and pumps and pumps. The heart is continuously in a state of out, in, out, in, out, in. Ratza is its projection. It's pumping out the blood to race outward. Shuv, it's gathering in all the blood that's coming back to it, and that's the heart, in and out. Tfika the liba, which becomes the heartbeat. So you see that's indicating that the real inyan of chayos, of life, is the heart. V'adam shaboy, and its blood, b'tnua tamidis, is in a constant tnua of movement. Siva v'hilach chol evarei aguf, it circulates in all the limbs of the body, kimavur begeres hakodesh, as explained in Tanya. The liver and the brain are not in a state of movement. That's unique about the heart. It's life, and it's the life force of the body itself, and it itself is their very life of every limb. is its heart. Now we appreciate how deep this connection is of what does it mean, a leader of a generation? What does it mean, a Rebbe? Some people just don't get it, because if you never experienced it, if you didn't plug in to the heart. So the Jewish people, there are people who don't know what a Rebbe is and never had such a type of a leader in their life. And they're Jews. They're alive, learning Torah, doing mitzvahs. True. So number one, in Tanya it says that whether a person, that the connection between a Rebbe, a leader, and the people is a spiritual thing. It's a neshama thing. Since it's a neshama thing, so whether you're conscious of it or aware of it or not, on a soul level, all souls are plugged in. So whether a person knows it or not, they're still receiving vitality and energy from the leader of the generation. But there's something else. We see that there is those that are connected to the leader of the generation have a certain vigor and a certain energy. It's not just being a Jew for myself, okay? I do my Yiddishkeit, I learn my Torah, do mitzvahs, but there's a certain energy to turn over the world. There's like this restlessness, there's this drive. Now, obviously, you can call yourself a chassid because you know, in the phone book, and have yourself listed, and you're not plugging in. So then you could be be very not enthusiastic. But I'm talking about those who plug in, that learn the Torah and follow and follow in a constant way. It's not like just learning Torah. There's a certain oomph, there's a certain energy, there's a certain lebedekeit and drive. And that's what we mean. There's life. Now, as he's going to say in a moment, it's not just spiritual life, it's actually physical life as well. But because everything, we're dealing with tzaddik that's here physically in the world, it's impacting even on a physical level. But the ikar, obviously, it's on the spiritual aspect. The drive in Yiddishkeit is full of energy, it's pulsating, that's the idea. And a king, Leiv kol kahal Yisroel, the heart of the people. And it says, what did he just say? He said that the heart is in a constant state of ratzoi v'shuv, inward and outward, inward and outward. So you see that by the king, it says, Asher yotzieim, he will go out, v'asher yoiviem, and he brings them in. And another idea about this, the blood goes out and it goes in. The blood itself flows. So the king's energy, the king himself, he's flowing into the people. And he brings them in and out. The Nasi, the leader, they're the ones who imbue the Jewish people with vitality, with energy. So therefore, he says, when it becomes the day of the beginning of the leadership, of Beis Nissan, he says in this case, tonight is Beis Nissan. Since whatever Inyan is on a day of an anniversary, especially on the day of the anniversary when it started, it has to increase in what it is, because Malin B'Kodesh, saying a living thing can't stay in one place, and there's no stagnation, it has to grow. That means that it grows in being more of a heart. So it's now upgraded. If till now it was 100-volt heart, it becomes now 120-volt heart. I don't know, I'm making up this silly term, but that's the idea. It's more of a pumper, and it pumps stronger. That's the idea. So if the heart is stronger in what it is as a heart, to bring life, that means now there is more life flowing. That's the idea. That's the idea that the living should take to his heart. Where is the Rebbe getting his life from? From the fountainhead of life, which is God himself. And from there, it says, from the fountainhead of life, will be given life. But it's coming from such a high place, but it's going all the way down. It's actually translating into literal physical life. It's not remaining just as a spiritual energy, but actually physically healthy and life. That's why we find that whenever there is some kind of a challenge in a person's life, health, the first thing a person would do is, Chassid definitely would go to the Rebbe to ask for a bracha. Why? Because there's a challenge and interference in life. Right now, tonight, I saw Rabbi Reichik was sent out that everybody should sign a pan. That people, because there is a situation of a lack of health in the community, and in the communities, and in the entire world. So we run to the tzaddik, who's the pumper of life, and say, we need life. And people think, talk to the Eibishter. Yeah, but if there is a clogging in the arteries, you want to make sure that you're unclogging and getting attached to your heart. The tzaddik, the leader of the generation, is the heart. So you need to bond the limbs better with the heart. Amr Le'el. Now all of the above, these are the first two sifim. So this is the introduction. Amr Le'el. Now all the above, that we have to add to life. Mudgish b'yoser, the Rebbe says, is even more emphasized. Beis Nissan d'shana, in the second day of Nissan of this year, which is Samach Ches Shana. It is 68 years from when, again, then in 1988 it was 68 years. Now again it's 100. It's 100 years, and it was 68. 32 years ago. Tafshin Mem Ches, Tafresh Pei to Tafshin Mem Ches. Tafresh Pei is what? 1920 till 1988. Yeah, 68 years. Now, what's unique about 68? The word Chaim is Gematria 68. The Nasi is Kvoit Kedushas Mordecham Yad Ben Nasi Dereinu. Samaches beGematria Chaim. If we're talking about adding life, especially to the Nasi, who is the invigorator, he's the life force, he's the pump of life to the people. So when it becomes the year that's Gematria 68, which is Gematria Chaim, so of course there has to be more life. Not only there has to be, there is, but we can tap into it, and everybody has the responsibility to increase it, as we're going to see soon. The Rebbe says we can break it down a little bit more in detail. In what sense? When he says, I'm gonna follow my father's footsteps, a style of learning that I've received from my father, the Rebbe says from Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, Rebbe's father, in how to analyze the situation over here, because the word Chaim equals 68, which it was 68 years. But the Rebbe is not just going to look at the whole gematria, he's going to dissect how you got, because 68 you can make out of 3 20s, 3 chafs, and 1 ches. We'll also give you 68. There's many ways of getting 68. A lamid, a chaf, right? A yud, and a ches. We'll also give you 68. There's different ways. Chaim is spelled mem ches and 2 yuds in the middle. Mitziruf oisi is the Chaim Beis Yuden umem ches. I saw this cutest video this week. A little girl said at Dvar Torah. It's the cutest thing a mother had. This little girl must have been like 6 years old or 5 years old. I think like 6, maybe 7. I don't know. I want to say my Dvar Torah last week before Shabbos. I mean, I just saw it this week, but a mother filmed this, and she's saying the difference between, in English we say life, and in Hebrew we say chayim. She says the difference. The middle letters in the word life is if. She says in English life is iffy. You don't have anything stable. If you don't know if you're going to live or not. But in Hebrew, the 2 letters that make up chayim is 2 yuds. And that's Hashem's name. That means what's our pneumius of our life? The Eibishter. And then we're solid, strong, because we're living directly plugged into God. Thought it was a very special little teaching from this little girl. Here the Rebbe is bringing out this idea. Chaim is made up of 2 yuds and a mem and a ches. So he says, this is indicative of actually the 68 years of of since the previous Rebbe took on the mantle of leadership. The 68 years, again, the Rebbe is saying it's 68 years since my father-in-law became Rebbe. So that 68 years, he's going to dissect it into 3 parts. One part is going to be one Yud, the other part is the other Yud, and then Mem Ches is going to serve the 3rd component. This is his father's style for whoever tuned into classes that we've done, Rebbe Levi Yitzchak's teachings. In Gematrias, he's very particular. Of the previous Rebbe. This bar b'makam has been explained elsewhere. The 30 years of the Nesius of the Friediger Rebbe during his lifetime, which was when he was Rebbe, he became Rebbe in 1920 and he was Rebbe till 1950. Passed away Yud Shvat, 1950. So it's 30 years. It's divided into 3 general tkufos of 10 years. 10, 10, and 10. Eser Shonim Rishonos, the first 10 years, B'Medina Ahi, was in that country. It's interesting how the Rebbe doesn't even want to say the name of the country. That country, this is still before the collapse, of just a year before, the collapse of the Soviet Union. It just says that country. Eser Shonim Shniyos, the second 10 years, the second decade, was B'Medina's Poland. Poland was when he was in Poland. Eser Shonim Achroinos, and the last 10 years was when he escaped Poland in 1940, came to America, B'Medina Zu, in this country, B'Chatzi Kader HaTachton, in the lower half of the hemisphere. As been explained many times, the United States is considered the lower part of the world, in that it is the southern, the half of the world where the Torah was not given on. Eretz Yisroel, how you would split it, but that's the idea. So 10, 10, and 10. But we have over here 10, 10, and 48. So the Rebbe says like this: 10, 10, and then 10 of my father-in-law, but I'm a continuation of my father-in-law, so it's another 38 years. So together, 38 plus 10, because from when the Rebbe became Rebbe, right when his father-in-law passed away, in essence, he continued, even though officially he didn't start till the next year, but he continued directly, and this is now 1988. He became Rebbe in 1950, straight to 1988. You have another 38 years. So 10, 10, and 38, which gives you, altogether, it gives you 48. And that means life. Roimzim are indicative of Harishon to the first decade, Vasheni, and the second one, then it's also of his leadership. Oisius Memches and the letters Memches Chaim, Roimzim, they are symbolizing La Memches Neisanasiyas B'Medina Zu, to the 48 years in this country. Eser Shanim B'Chaim Chayusa B'Al Medain, the first 10 years, another was from 1940 to 1950, Tavshin to Tavshin Yud. V'Lamet Ches Shanim, Tavshin Yud, and then 48, and then 38 years, from 57:10 to 57:48. So it's another 38 years. The Pa'ula Nimsheches, which is one continuum. Haisafa, which is actually an addition by Safa the Torah mitzvahs. An addition in adding more Torah and mitzvahs, Bechlal, in general. He's explaining why it's a continuation of the Friediger Rebbe's life. Because the Friediger Rebbe's life was all about spreading Torah and mitzvahs, and particularly V'Hamayonas, and the wellsprings of Chassidus should go out. Bechlalam included in them. Al pi derachav ashareno, based on the way that he taught us, and that continued. So this is just a continuation of his life, as another 48 years. Gematria altogether, 68. As we know by the Rebbe, the previous Rebbe didn't pass away at all. It's one life force. So therefore, it's not just that there is 68 years. The 68 are expressing the concept of Chaim. So when you have life sectioned exactly like that, as the word Chaim is made up, everything about it is so Chaim-dig. Obviously, there needs to be extra life right now because we've reached the pinnacle of life. Now he says, Shemem Ches Begamatria Choyel, Yisroel oisa choyel. The word choyel is ches yud lamed. So yud and lamed is mem plus another ches is mem ches. So the latter word is the mem ches, which is from when the previous Rebbe came to America till now, is choyel. Choyel means strength. Yisroel oisa choyel. Ubegamatria Beis pamim chavdala. It's also gematria 2 times 24, which 2 times 24 is very special. Inyan v'samti katked shimshei sayach. It's the idea I have placed, which the word 2 times 24 is very special, because it says in the Haftorah, somewhere in the 7 weeks of comfort, it says in the pasuk, Hashem says, "V'samti," and I will put katked, like the special jewel or gem, katked shimshei sayach, your windows. Kemavura inyan the katked b'Likutei Torah, as explained in Likutei Torah. Chem b'drusha tzemach tzedek, also the memorim of the tzemach tzedek. So over there explains the significance of katked. So what and how that would have ramifications to what we're learning about over here. Before I continue, I want to go back a moment to Ara 30. When the Rebbe is dissecting the 48 years, not the 48, the 68 of the word Chaim, he's dissecting it a little more specific. This is Gavaldik. Mem and Ches. Earlier he said Mem Ches. Why Mem Ches? Because from the years in America, in the lower half of the hemisphere, is 48. But now he says specifically like this. 40 is from 1940 till 1980, which was completed the work just during that time. Completed already the work. Pe'ula ba'afatzas Maayon is chutza, spreading Chassidus across the world. Gam b'chatzi kader hatachten, also in the lower half of the world. After that started a separate inyan of 8 years. From 1980 to 1988, from Tashim Mem to Tashim Mem Ches, is a bazunder inyan, it stands on its own. Shmoyna shanim shel chaysafa. Because in order for something to be complete, it needs 40. 40 is a complete number. A child takes 40 days for the embryo to develop. 40 is a shleimus. Moshe Rabbeinu was in heaven for 40 days. So 40 years, and Chazad Gemara also says that a person doesn't get their teacher 40 years. Once you were 40 years by a teacher, the teacher has molded you and developed your mind. So to develop a generation, to develop America, to develop the world, the 40 years is a completion. What's with the last 8 years, the Rebbe says? 8 isn't already Hoysaf, it's an added. What kind of Hoysafa? Hoysafa b'misper hakasher iminin ha'geula. It's an addition that's connected, it's already tied to the idea of geula, of redemption. Because 8, like I spoke so much, this year is 80. 8 is the number of redemption. It's the redemption number. So what is he saying? It seems like the Rebbe is saying that from 1980 to 1988, the last 8 years was already geuladik. Which really, if you take a look, the Rebbe's Kochen Moshiach from 1980. That's when Tzivus Hashem began. We want Moshiach now. And the Rebbe then started naming the years. Shnas Bias HaMashiach. Shnas Tavshem Mem Beis. Every year was another expression regarding Mashiach. It was like the unfolding of Mashiach light. So it suddenly took such a surge. It suddenly became so powerful in Lubavitch. From when? That's really the 8 years that are above, he says, the 40 years. 40 years completion. This is already Haisafa, Kasher Minyan Hagiyula. What does he mean over here when he's speaking about 2 times Chav Dalet, Katked? Someone last year gave a very Geshmaka Hezber. Because it's interesting, last year, the cheshbon the Rebbe is making over here is the cheshbon of the previous Rebbe coming to America is 48, and the previous Rebbe becoming Rebbe is 68. Okay? Now, if we look at the Rebbe as independent, his own leadership, that starts in 1950 or 51. 68 years after that was 57, 78, 79, the last 2 years. Is 68, Chaim. So therefore he said that this Kat Kade is interesting because 2 times 24 of the 48, how is he making the cheshbon? First there were 2 yuds, that's what he said. First 2 sets of 10 years. First 2 sets of the 1950 to 1960 and 60 to 70 was like preparation for Geula. Then came 48 years, which were divided in 2 sets, Kad Kade, from 1971 until 1994 is the first 24 years. And then 1994 till now is the second 24. And he explained very geschmack. Why make the differentiation then? Because in Tafshin Lamed was when the Rebbe wrote the Sefer Torah, or not completed the Sefer Torah, the Kabbalah's Pnei Mashiach, to go greet Mashiach. That was in 1970. It's a new tkufa. I said 1980 became very intense, but even in 1970, already 10 years before, there was already and the 24 years and the 2 times 24 is because Kad Kade, the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya over there, one element of Kad Kade is light coming. The reason why there's 2, the Gemara says, what does Kad Kade mean? So the Medrash, the Gemara says is an argument. One Amoira says it's one kind of stone called Yashvei, and the other Amoira says it's a different kind of a stone called Shoham. It's a Shoham or a Yashvei. And the Alter Rebbe in Tanya explains that one of them was the stone of Yosef and the other was the stone of Binyamin. And he explains that the difference between the 2 of them is one is Tzaddik Elyon, which is all about bringing godly light down from above, and the other one is Tzaddik Tachton, it's all about bringing light from below. Or Chayzer, Tzaddikim and Balei Tshuva, 2 energies. One is light coming from above and the other one light coming from below. So if we say that's the inyan of Katked, which the Rebbe is, so then it would come out that from 1970 till 1994, the Rebbe was shining Mashiach light from above. 1994 we had Gimel Tammuz. Now it became the internalization through us and our tshuva, which we've already 24 years have completed. And we're ready now for the complete revelation. That's just an interesting idea. In any case, he says, regarding to these 2 words, Chayol and Chayim, Shen Yonim Elun is Baro B'Drushe Chassidus. These in Yonim were explained in Chassidus. V'chalkom nilketu b'Sefer Alikutim L'Drushe Tzemach Tzedek. Some of them were gathered in the Sefer of the index of the Sfarim of the Tzemach Tzedek, the Memorim of Tzemach Tzedek, which include also the Mittler Rebbe and the Alter Rebbe, and they're also the foundation of the Drushe Rabbi Seinu Siyenu Shel Acharze, which the Sfarim of the Tzemach Tzedek are the gathering of the Rabbeim before him, but also the foundation of the Rabbeim after, because the Rebbe Marash's Memorim and the Rebbe Rashav's Memorim are mainly built on the Tzemach Tzedek's Memorim. So therefore, he says Tzemach Tzedek's Memorim are very, very crucial. They serve as like this funnel, receiving from above and the foundation for the future. In a sense, more than any other Rebbe, even though you could say about each Rebbe that way. But Tzemach Tzedek is a very Isha Kolel, included everything, and very innovative, and there's a lot there. So the Drusha Rabbi Seinu Siyenu Shel Achazeh Ad L'Kvod Kedushas Marichami Ad Min Asiderenu. If you look deeply into these places, you'll understand this better. So that last year we were very excited about this, The Rebbe was already telling you, look deeper, you'll understand it better. He was referring to what we should look deeper years later. Look deeper there in these places. You'll understand what I've been talking about the 68 years, because it's applying to now as well. Then you'll appreciate even better the quality of this year. Give a wise person and he'll figure out more things. So I'm just giving you, the Rebbe says, I'm giving you little nuggets. Take a plunge, learn it deeper, and you'll discover very rich ideas over there. Now we go to the Sikha becomes just out of this world. Now we can add to all of this. So what do we have now? We understood the relationship that that a person has to add in life, especially a leader. And to understand that better, because the leader is the life. That's his inyan. He is the life of the Jewish people, because he's the heart of the Jewish people. And especially when we reach a milestone where he's the leader for 68 years, which is life, so there has to be a real invigoration in life. Now we can add to all of this, but let's get a little deeper, the Rebbe says. By first appreciating regarding the king and his subjects, the king and his people, we find two opposites, mamish opposites. On the one hand, the leader, if he's a true leader, if he's worthy to be the leader, he's head and shoulders above them, but that's not a good enough expression, because that would sign that they're kind of, the reason we use that expression is because it says that about Shaul HaMelech when it wants to say how much greater he was than the Jewish people. But we're saying there's no relationship at all. No relationship at all. As Chassidim always know that a Rebbe is not the biggest Chassid. There's a quantum leap. There is an unbridgeable gap between them. Chad Gisa, from one end, from one side, there is a certain separation, exaltedness, and distance. Meshikma Yomaila, and he uses the word head and shoulders. Meshikma Yomaila, from his head, his shoulders and higher, Gavaya Mekalam, he's way above everyone. As the Alter Rebbe explains, that even their heads are lower than his shoulders. That means even their intellect is lower than his emotions. His intellect is whoa. That's why we use the idea of the king, the nasi, or the melech. He's a king on an am. In the word am, the word am itself, the Alter Rebbe explains, there's another meaning to the word am. Am doesn't only mean a people. Am comes from the word omamos. Omamos means, Chazal talk about coals that are extinguished. Shem dvarim nefradim v'zarim v'rechaykim amaylas hamelech. That they are considered to be, I'm trying to figure out why is that. I get why do we call it get extinguished? I mean, did they have no life? No. Meaning, even though he's connecting to them, imbuing them, so that is a bond, but the life, when it goes into them, is like disconnected from him. Why? Because you would say, if he's flowing into them, then they would be a little bit him. So he says, no, there will always remain a absolute separation. It's almost like his energy that goes in, oimamais, becomes completely extinguished. It goes into them, out. Because they can't have anything of him. Because he remains completely, when they have to see him, and that's because it really is that way, as above, completely above them, no shaykhs to them whatsoever. So, for example, if he tells them something, there's no playing around. Yeah, but I think a little different. No one cares what you think. You have no mind, you have nothing when it comes to the melech. It's the word of the king, because the king says so. And that's because you're not a little bit of him. And that's the idea of oimim Moshe. Dvarim nefradim, they're separated. V'zarim and strangers, and they have an absolute distance from the quality of the king. And this element of the relationship is seen in the fear and in the utter surrender that the people have to the king. You take upon yourself a king, you should fear him. But on the other side, so he's at the epitome of distance. Couldn't have a greater separation. In his kingship, you feel like, on the other end, Tachlis Hakiruv, the epitome of closeness. Why? Ka'amr, like we said earlier, Shamelech hu leiv kolkal, he's the heart. The heart means that you have nothing closer to you than the closeness of the heart to the limbs. Leivare aguf. Why? Because the way the heart, it's not just a neighbor to the limbs and sits in between them, to the organs and to the limbs. It's not only a neighbor, the entire heart spills itself out into the limbs to become part of them and become their life, and then goes back into the heart and then back into them. Their entire life, their entire their energy, their drive. In a people, it means their entire drive, their meaning in their life is all coming from their king, and their drive, the reason they wake up in the morning, the impetus, the life force, the ambition, the force, it's all their king. They live for their king. They dream their king. That's their energy. That's their power. So he couldn't be closer to them. He's not something other than them. He's their life. What is closer to a person than his very life? But on the other hand, they have no relationship to the quality of who is. So he's completely removed as far as possible, and so much them. That's the beauty over here. Imagine what that means. The beauty of a Rebbe, of a Melech. He's so close to you, yet infinitely far from you, in his terms of his exaltedness. The blood that's in the heart itself is continuously in all the limbs. His pashtus v'hilach hachayas ma'level kol ha'evarim, and has to continuously go. Kel chasei tamidi considerate. If it stops for a second, God forbid, life is jeopardized. Shekol ha'evarim mikusharim yachad. They're all receiving and they're all bounded together. U'makablim chiyusam ha'alev, and they receive their energy from their heart. The Yiseirim is even more than this. Here's a very powerful thing. Here the Rebbe is going to say that this relationship of the heart and the limbs, where the heart is continuously pumping life into the limbs on a constant basis. He is their life force, also works the other way around. It's a two-way street. The heart has nothing unless the limbs pump the heart, the blood back. The limbs need to give the blood back to the heart. And without that, the heart has no life itself. The life force of the heart is dependent on the limbs. He is their energy, but they're his energy. The closeness that the king has to the people, who loirak biyachas, is not only lamshachas achayis t'chol ha'am, that he gives them life, shemakablam chiyusam ha'melech, that they receive their energy from the king, and legam le'idoch gisa, but also to the other end, shemetziyusa shel ha'melech tuluya ba'am. The metzius of the king is dependent on the people. Ein melech peloy am. Without a people, there is no king. The whole existence of the king is that he's their king. If they're not in-kinging him, so what is he? In the function of king. He didn't have to be a king, he could have been whatever. But in the function of king
Kingship is only from the people. Now here's the paradox. Even though they're called Am, which means they're infinitely inferior to him, because they're, as we said before, extinguished his energy in them in the sense that there's no continuity of him in them, that they should be a extension or a continuation of him. And therefore, they are very distant from the quality of the king. Simultaneously, and at the same time, not just simultaneously, but biglalza, because they're separated. That's why they can make him king, because the whole nature of the relationship is that he has to be a king on those that are not him, and those that are infinitely inferior to him, or way inferior to him. Because that's the whole relationship. A king on your own children who are a continuation of you, have a little bit of you, they have parts of you, they have your personality traits, your character, and therefore you can see yourself in them, you can't be a king. That's not kingship. Kingship are only on strangers, things that don't have anything of you yet, and that's the whole nature of that's the whole business of a king, and the whole content of a king. Payalim henas hamalchus. They create the kingship, Hamelech, the king. Wow. He's their energy. Without him, they have no life. He enlivens them as a people. He enlivens them as a right? So it's hard for us to imagine, when did we see such a king? Someone who the people lived the king. When did we see such a king? Most of the times the people wanted the king, and they were hoping the king was hoping there would be a better king. Kings were selfish, they were tyrants. But the true king was really looking out for the good of his people, who's really deserving to be a king. Who do we know in history such a king? Well, that must have been that way with David HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech, the true kings. Moshe Rabbeinu was a king. He's the life of the people. But more than that, Takat, I don't find any other examples other than the Rebbe and the Chassidim. Anybody that knows anything about the life of Chassidim and their energy, by a Chassid, everything is the Rebbe. And people get nervous, people that are outside, who haven't experienced the beauty of this relationship, the magnificence of this relationship, the depth of this relationship, the empowerment of this relationship. Almost look at it as some kind of a worship. And they don't realize we're talking about our own heart. So worship, it's just not getting it. Just not appreciate. If you tasted it and you know what it is, you totally get it. So people will say, I have that relationship with the Eibishter, because he's my king. Good argument. But the Eibishter told us to appoint a human king. And the ultimate state of existence is going to be when we're going to have a human king. And when we went into Eretz Yisroel and we were kind of formed as a complete nation, we were commanded to have a king. Why? The Tzemach Tzedek explains in another Maayon, Mitzvahs Minui Melech, we can't relate to the abstraction of God in the way that kingship needs. It has to be funneled into a human king. The human king is not a human king. He's just a channel, a physical container for God's kingship. If he's a tzaddik. If he's not a tzaddik, he doesn't deserve to be king. There were Jewish kings that way. They were corrupted. They were not the Inyan. And I'm sure the Jews didn't feel this way to them anyways. It was just like a forced kind of, it's like making believe, like playing kingship. But real kingship that was when we had Shlomo HaMelech, David HaMelech, Shaul HaMelech, true kings with true regality and it was God's regality, it was God's greatness that was just being reflected through them. When we make the bracha on a king, you say that, Shecholak Mekvoida, he's taken from his king, from his glory to a king. This is the real meaning of kingship. Kemudgash gam b'achtaras hamelech, and like it is emphasized, and more than anybody else, this is going to be by Mashiach. By Mashiach Tzidkenu, this is going to be on, as we're going to see, because he's going to be the ultimate king. But the fact that both he's the life and the drive of his subjects, and the subjects give him not just something, nachas, satisfaction, they give him life. And without them giving him life, just like the heart has nothing without the heart, the circulation has to constantly happen. The limbs have to give it back. It kemudgash b'gam b'achtaras hamelech. Now this idea that the people give life to the king, where do you see that? When you meet your Rebbe, what do you say? Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe Umori. You say peace unto you. When you meet your friend, what do you say? Shalom Aleichem. Hello, hi, good afternoon, good morning. Nice things to say. When you meet a king, what do you say? Yechi HaMelech, long live the king. You bless him with life. That's the way it always was, and that's the way it is in the Bible and Navi. In Navi, this is the way it is, that you greet the king with Yechi HaMelech. Why are you saying such a... Why are you telling him live? He's living. The answer is, no, you give him life. You feel that you're living for the king, and you want him to live more than anything else, and that's how you're giving him life. But you have to verbalize it. That the people call out, long live the king. And we find it's not just a thing that is done in the non-Jewish world. No, this was done also in Malchus Beis David. Regarding Shlomo HaMelech, the people called out Yechi HaMelech. And regarding to David, but by David it wasn't by the coronation, he says. They also said it, but it wasn't said by the coronation. But by Shlomo HaMelech it was said during the coronation. From this you see, the people have such an effect on the king, who b'chayei HaMelech is in the life of the king. Chayim shel Melech, the life of the king, it means that the king needs life from us. He brings in the bottom from the Radak, Yatzlach Malka. The Targum says, let him be successful. Ki atfila, the Radak explains, ala chayim val atzlacha. You want him to have success, you want him to have life. Life and success. Pisa moving gam the done. So in our case, this is by a king, by any king and subjects. This will be understood in our case. Since it's now 68 years to the life of the leader of the generation, in addition to what we said earlier, that there has to be increased life every year. And how much more so in the year like this, that the simon is life, that we have to really increase life. And again, what we said before, that we have to add life. To who? In addition to this that we said before, that the Nasi of the generation is responsible. Since he's alive, and especially when he hits the year of 68, he's responsible to increase life to the people, because that's his whole business, is increasing life. And when he becomes stronger in who he is, he has to give, and he is life, he has to give stronger life to the people. The people of the generation, they can also add life. They add life to the Nasi Hador. Which is what the idea of Yechi HaMelech is. That's not words. It's a bracha that actually has a powerful impact. And you'll say, well, who am I? Who am I to give life? Well, what difference does it make if I say Yechi HaMelech? If I don't say it, I'm a nobody. The answer is, the bigger the shmendrik you are, the more important it is. Because, as we said before, the whole idea is the king is a king over those that are not in any way close to him. The Amma says, when it comes to a real melech, everybody's a shmendrik, everybody's a nobody. That's the whole point. You need to have a whole thousands of nobodies. When I say nobodies, meaning in terms of the relationship between them and the leader, them and Moshe Rabbeinu, them and these true leaders, is that the call is that they have to participate in it. So if we don't understand what that means, the Rebbe says in very simple words, after there is 68 years to the Nesius of the previous Rebbe, not just his Nesius, which means his work and his avoda, the Nasi Dareinu of our generation, there needs to be a powerful addition in life. Gam also al pi'ula sa'am, by the people. The Rebbe is giving instructions that the people are now being instructed, and he's talking about the Rebbe, that the Rebbe is now instructing the Chassidim. The heart is instructing the limbs, telling them, I need life, pump me life. Al pi'ula sa'am shemachrizim, that they announce Yechi HaMelech, long live the king. Now, what would this mean? What is this life that we're talking about? What is the content of calling out Yechi HaMelech? The Rebbe is telling the Chassidim to call out, long live the king. What is the content behind it? The content behind it is that we are claiming, and here the Rebbe is adding a whole new idea, Shekvar egia hazman, the time has arrived, the time has arrived that those that are lying in the earth should awaken and they should sing. Who are we talking about? My father-in-law, the Rebbe says, the leader of the generation, but it doesn't stop with him. Va'ad, the kitzu v'ranenu, it should also wake up and sing. And over here he doesn't say the words shoichnei afar dozu. The David Malka Mashiach of David Malka Mashiach, which you can say means David HaMelech of a long time, but the phrase of David Malka Mashiach usually when we say it means Mashiach Tzedkenu. That's called David Malka Mashiach. So there should be the awakening. That's the concept of Yechi HaMelech. That there has to be a crying out of Yechi HaMelech coming from the people, which the inner meaning of that cry of the Yechi HaMelech that is coming out, that we're saying, and that means even though there has been an interruption of life, because that's why he's Hekitzu V'ranenu Sheichne Afar is in the earth, regarding the previous Rebbe. It's interesting, the Rebbe skips it in the next line, because I know Gimel Tammuz happened. I mean, obviously this was all prophecies, and the Rebbe was talking about the future. There's no doubt in the Sichah, you can see there's no other simple interpretation other than the fact that he's juxtaposing both together a kitzu. They have to wake up. But by himself, let's talk openly, by himself, he's not talking about someone else. He's talking about himself over here. And when he's talking about himself, he doesn't say, Sheichne Afar. He just says, Kitzu v'ranenu, wake up. Because obviously there's some kind of a dirmuta, there's some kind of a sleeper going on over here. That obviously, I know everybody, yeah. Oh, Narishkeit. That I don't care the least bit. That's what our naked physical eyes see, and that doesn't determine reality. What determines reality is what's emes. What's emes al pi Torah is, of course, on the outside it looks like it was a regular passing and so on and so forth, and a burial and all these things. B'pnimius, the Rebbe says there's an union of a kitzu. There has to be an awakening, and what causes it? The calling of the people, where the people will give life to the Melech, because he needs life. And the people have to give him that life to generate what? V'zeu, and then the Rebbe continues. Gama shemarishin be'ikvas of the Mashiach. And this is also the reason why we are, referring to himself, why we are causing a commotion at the very last days, in the days of Mashiach, at the footsteps of Mashiach. Al derech hatzoyrich lahachris ad mosai. That we're the Rebbe kept on demanding that we cry out Ad Masai. We don't tolerate the exile, and we cry Ad Masai, which that itself speeds the redemption. This itself speeds up the redemption. The Yesh Loimar, that we can say, that in addition, the Rebbe says, when I was been teaching you in the last 10 years, or 8 years at that time, to cry out Ad Masai, there's a deeper meaning over here. It's not just the longing, habakasha, the demanding, v'hadrisha, and the seeking ala geula, that we're calling for the redemption because we so want the redemption and we can't tolerate the gullahs. Sheyavei Mashiach tzedkeinu b'poel mamish, that Mashiach tzedkeinu should literally come. Boifen the maraba etzboi, in a manner that we can point with our finger, v'oimar zeh hinei hamelech haMashiach. This is Melech HaMashiach, basar v'dam, a man of flesh and blood, kipsaktin a Rambam, like the Rambam says, Yamu Melech mi Beis David, that there will rise a king from the house of David, the Yakabetz Nitche Yisroel, and he will gather the gatherings, he will gather the scattered of Israel. Meaning, it's an addition to this that we want. We're waiting for the day already that we can, when we're saying Ad Masai, that we're waiting for Mashiach Tzedkeinu to walk through the door, a person of flesh and blood, literally a king, right? But Yesh Bachra Zezu, there's also contained secretly in this announcement, Gama Toichen de Inyan Achtara. It also means we can't bear the fact that we don't have our king. We don't have the king totally be his galus, the ultimate king of the Jewish people. So really what we're really saying is, hidden in the Ad Masai is, we are actually crowning our king. How long are we going to be without the Gilui of our Melech? And now we're demanding that our Melech should be revealed, which means the coronation. We're talking about now Corona, which is the time of coronation. That the Ad Masai was always, and it's meant to be also, a coronation. Yechi HaMelech, Sha'al Yedei Zeh, through this, Payalim, we actually affect Bias David Malka Mashiach. We affect the coming of David Malka Mashiach. So all those who are upset and get irritated and get annoyed by what they call the crazy yechiniks, and that the whole thing is crazy and it's a cult and it's a boom and it's a this. Here is a book from the leader of the generation, the one that holds the entire generation in his hands, the one who led us, picked up the entire Jewish people from the ashes of the Holocaust, reached out to the entire world like no other leader ever, held, cared, was Moser Nefesh, stood for 40 years without taking one day of vacation, fasting and crying and pleading and petitioning and worrying for every Jew and cuddling every Jew and comforting every Jew and caring about every Jew and fighting for the Jewish people and doing everything for the Jewish people. And he's talking to his Chassidim and he's telling them what they should do. So who has the chutzpah, and I'm going to say this very strong, who has the chutzpah to tell people who are stubborn and are doing this that they're the Meshugayim? And I will say, you're the Meshuganer. Because we're talking about the most vital thing. We're talking about the moment, we're talking about the avodah of affecting Bias David Malka Mashiach. Because the king needs the people. Are you going to say, oh, he died, Timon happened? In our fagrepta eyes, in our coarse eyes, that we're looking like Magushim Diga people, he died like every person, he's in the earth, and so on and so forth. That's not what it says in Likutei Sichos. And if it's true to you, all the other 39 volumes of Likutei Sichos, of genius of every aspect of Torah, this isn't any less true and real. This is a pleading of the Nasi Hadoyer to make that cry, to call. Now, I am saying that sometimes we have to be aware that not everybody is ready for it, and not everybody can hear it, so you don't do it in all circumstances and every place, and people need education. But this blanket dismissal of all this being just kooks and so on and so forth is simply not true, because if you learn it, then you see that these are just things that people have made up just because they're uncomfortable. I also didn't understand it for years. I went to 770 and I saw the signs and then I was invited to speak somewhere, and they asked me to review this sikha when I went to speak in Eretz Yisrael. Actually, I flew to Eretz Yisrael just to speak for 15 minutes, and they asked me to review this and give over the content of this. I spent the entire 12 hours, 15 hours, the whole, I did some sleeping, this, that, but I was studying this again and again and again, and I said, wow, who is to dismiss this? We're talking about the life of the Nasi. It could be that this is not just, could be this is the deepest Inyan. And then look what the Rebbe adds. The Yesh Lahoisiv we can add. She'etzel melech ha-Moshiach, regarding to Moshiach, mudgeshes yoiser shechusa l'kol echad v'echad mi-Yisrael. By Moshiach, it's even more than he needs his connection to every Jew, and therefore he needs the life coming from every Yid. Why? Noisav lekach. In addition to this, shekol melech uleiv kol kahal Yisrael. In addition to this, that every Jew is the heart, every king is the heart of the Jewish people. By Mashiach, it's even more. Lechein bekoicho yubiyacholtoi dekol echad ve'echad mi-Yisrael. That's why it's within the power of every single Jew, lifoy la'inyan the Yechi HaMelech, to affect the idea of Yechi HaMelech, to give the king life. Every person can do it. Why? Ala pasuk doirach koichav mi-Yaakov. On the pasuk, he's going to explain why by Mashiach it's even more. There's a pasuk that says a star shoots forth from Jacob. Matzinu Beis drashes b'Chazal. We find Chazal have two drashes, two ways they expound this pasuk. Koichav kal kol echad v'echad mi-Yisrael. According to the Yerushalmi, when it says a star will rise forth, it means every Jew is called a kochav. Koichav kal melech ha-Mashiach, or koichav mi-Yaakov is referring to Mashiach. So which one is it? Is it every Jew? Is it Mashiach? And it's bar b'makamach, or it's explained elsewhere. She'ein stira b'davar. There isn't a contradiction. Both the memorim are assisting each other. Based on what it is known. This is based on what it's known in Sefer Ma'or Einayim from the Chernobler, that in every single Yid yesh nitzitz minishmas Mashiach. There is a spark from the neshama of Mashiach. Every Jew has a spark. The deepest spark in your heart, your deepest point of existence is your spark of Mashiach. That's the Yechida. That's what we call the Pinta L'Yid. That's your Mashiach spark. Shehi Nitzitz, which is actually a spark. Ma Yechida HaKlal is from the general Yechida, because there's a Yechida in every person. There's also a Yechida, general Yechida. Masay Shal Mashiach Tzedkenu. The Neshama of Mashiach Tzedkenu. The Nimtza comes out that the very soul of Mashiach is made up of the deepest point of each and our souls. So if we're not willing to give him our life, he's lacking life. We have to give him our life. By a regular king, he's the heart, he needs the blood. Here he is. We and him are one in the deepest point. He's connected to every Jew. The very essence of their being, the Yechida, is the spark of his neshama. Here, the dependency that there's no king without an am is even more than by a regular king. The whole idea of Yechi HaMelech is, you're not a king, we have to give you life. And what does it mean? It means that I'm giving myself over to live in complete, my deepest energy is totally devoted to you, obviously as you represent God's kingship. That's the whole point of Moshiach Tzedkenu, that he has no tiny bit of separation. His entire neshama is totally one. It's not even melted. It's just one with the Eibishter. So therefore, he's bottled to the Eibishter, and we're all, and our deepest point is him. And he's made up of all the nitzutzim. So with ein melech b'loy am, without the nitzutz, there's no flame. Hu bad gashi yesera etza melech haMashiach darach koichem Yaakov koichav the klalos Yisroel, the star of all the Jewish people. Hakasherim gilu darach koichem Yaakov etzel kol echad ve'echad miYisrael, his galus b'chinas ha'yechida shaloi, the revelation of the Yechida. So this comes out as one of the deepest things in Judaism. Obviously, it doesn't happen in all generations. That's why people have such a hard time, because it's weird. It's like, because people have to realize the Jewish people have a beginning and have an end. And then there is a tachlis. And then there is the culmination of everything. So now we have coronavirus. The whole world is falling apart. And when is Mashiach coming? When is Mashiach coming? When? In 100 years from now? I'm not saying because of Corona, but Corona is a pretty good reason. In 100 years from now, you see the world continuing 100 years without Mashiach. In 50 years, and 30 years from now. It's now. So where's your leader? Where's your Mashiach? Where is the Yamid Melech? Where is that leader, that charismatic leader, the one that has the Jewish people in such a deep connection with him? And who even spoke such words? Who ever said words like this? Who even spoke that language? Which Nasi, only the one who it's negayah to. Only the one who it's him. So you say, when he passed away, so stands the Lubavitcher Rebbe 30 years ago, and says exactly what we need to do to bring about that he should wake up from his sleep. I'm telling you what it says over here. It came the time for the previous Rebbe, Hakitzu v'rananu shoichnei avar, adva hakitzu v'rananu David Malka Mashiach. And I know if someone wants to chap us and say, oh, David Malka Mashiach means you should wake up David Malka Mashiach back from back then. Look in the terms of where you use David Malka Mashiach and the way the Rebbe is speaking of. It's always, and I don't have it right now to run it off by you, but if anybody has that question, the Rebbe means David Malka Mashiach, he means Taka Mashiach Tzidkein. That he should Hakitzu Verananu. And that's why the Chassidim should call out now, he's telling them, for who? What was the Lubavitcher Rebbe telling them? They should go out in the street and they should find the beggar that's sitting in the next to the court, next to the entranceways of Rome, and find the one that Eliyahu Hanavi found, and say, oh, you're the Mashiach, and now we should all scream to this person, Yechiya Melech. The Rebbe explains what that means when it says Mashiach sits and he's bandaging. It means he sits with the Jewish people in exile. He pains their pain. He cries their cries. Chassidim knew who the Rebbe is talking about. The Rebbe knew who he's talking about. This is explicit instructions. So if you think Lubavitcher Rebbe is just another whatever, because you know nothing about Judaism, because you learned very little, and I'm going to say that it's just not, anybody that has any hisnagdus to the Rebbe, it's because he doesn't know the Rebbe. It's not because of being smart. The Rebbe he doesn't like, or the Rebbe that he's making fun of, or the Rebbe that he's against, I'm also against, because he has no idea who the Rebbe is. He hasn't learned it. If you learn Rebbe, if you open up just 5 sichos, or 10, 5 Maimarim and 5 sichos, you're swept away. There's no way you're not, unless you didn't learn it. But you learn it, you realize you're talking about something completely else, some etwas ganz anders. So if you hold that the Rebbe is a tzaddik, and he sat and spoke to his chassidim and gave them, and he was made himself so completely vulnerable, telling them, now I need your life. But no, we're going to make fun and laugh at the people who do it, because they're the tzadreitas. Now, I am going to admit and say one thing. Things that are usually require a lot of emunah, mishugoyim that are crazy anyways gravitate to. And since when you're going to have a huge following, you're going to have a certain percentage of mishugoyim, so it's more likely that people that are crazy anyways are going to join certain extreme things. It is extreme. No one is saying it's not an extreme idea, but it's extreme because Judaism has an extreme ending. That one Jew, it's not extreme that you're going to have in our modern day world a king that's going to rise and take over the whole world and everybody will serve him. That's the wackiest idea ever. In today's modern world, 8 billion people are going to follow a king, a Jewish king, a rabbi. That's wacky. That's crazy. But most people, these ideas are not real to them. Yeah, Mashiach will come, whenever will come, who cares about it? I'm Jewish as long as I do my Gemara, I do my learning, I do my thing, I'm Jewish. But if you think about it, the reality of it, it's wacky. So the whole concept is an extreme thing. So usually people that are generally a little crazy or a lot crazy will generate to it. So you'll have wackies. I'm not saying. But there is thousands of serious tired Yidden who have been completely written off because they feel that they have to cry Yechi and say it. Therefore they're Meshagayim. Because they want to do a final avoid of giving life to Melech HaMashiach. And he instructed them, not them making it up. The Rebbe didn't just say the Sikha, he edited it carefully. I think this is, and again, it's one of the things that gets shuffled and people just don't learn, and then you have opinions without learning. You feel that it's different, okay, but at least respect. Okay, the Sikha continues. I'm going to move a little faster now. All of this can be connected to the beginning. I'm sorry if I got a little excited, but it hurts me so much. The misinformation that is out there causes me so much pain. So much pain. The distortions. I heard today testimony. I was on a phone call with a woman who was one of the people. She's a normal woman. We're not dealing with crazies. She was one of the people who testified. She was the one who would bring the Rebbe all the signatures that the women are claiming that he's Mashiach and they're accepting his kingship. And the Rebbe was giving them such blessings. His face was radiating with happiness when they brought them this. It should continue and it should be by Safa and so on and so forth. But when you go on the street, you'll hear, every time the Rebbe said, people Chassidim, the crazy wackies, said he's Mashiach, he tried to stifle them and make them clear, but they didn't listen. That's lies. It's distortions. I'm not saying it didn't happen, that when Chassidim, before 1991 and 1992, before the time, the Rebbe did not start Chas v'Shalom losing his mind. If you take a look at the Sikhs of, I don't even have to say something so ridiculous, but I am gonna, just in case. Tzaddik, first of all, is an Ish Elikim. Everything that comes through him is godly. I said even that. But if you look at the Sikhs, they're the most brilliant, deepest, phenomenal genius in Yonam happening through those years. He's not Chas v'Shalom losing it. So, in the earlier years, the Rebbe never denied it. The Rebbe always, however, being that we weren't at that stage yet, the Rebbe continuously said that that such announcements and such proclamations and such songs, such declarations are going to scare people from Chabad, and now is the work to spread Chassidus and so on and so forth. 1990, really starting from 1988, this whole period, the Rebbe shifted. Why? Because he's working with an agenda. He has something that needs to get done. God's agenda, not his own agenda. And he's looking at the progress. He knows when the progress is reached. Once it reached the point where Mashiach is ready to come, then it's time to reveal already who's who and what's going on. So he actually encouraged and he allowed. If people would come to the Rebbe and tell him, Rebbe, should we go tell everybody it might harm our people? The Rebbe would say no. You're telling me it's going to harm, But every time we didn't tell him that, we just came and said, the Rebbe, Melech, Mashiach. We're making a coronation for you. We are spreading it. The brachas were, it's not one. Answers after answers after answers. And as you see over here, who started the Yechi? Before this, no one had that idea. I mean, they used to always, for a Rebbe, say Yechi Adenenu, didn't say Melech HaMashiach, they would say Yechi. But the fact that this should become so essential, it was the Rebbe that started it. So again, I was just telling you why I got so passionate about that, and that was that. And why is it Negeya? It's Negeya is because the Geula has to come, and we're now at the time of coronation. We're now at the time of Corona. An interesting thought today. I'm talking a lot about this idea that Corona and coronation is the same word. Who says? I mean, it is, but who says that's important? When was the other time that the Jewish people had a similar situation? There was something going around them that was literally killing them, and they didn't know what to do. I mean, there were many plagues, but if you look in the Torah, you see people don't know, they're screaming help. It was when the snakes came. The poisonous snakes in the Midbar. They came crying to Moshe, stop! People are dying. Mamish like today. What did Moshe Rabbeinu do? He took the Eibishter told him, make a nachash, semeyo al nes, put it high up. What did Moshe Rabbeinu do? He made a snake out of copper, a bronze copper snake. Nachash hanachoshes. So Rashi's wondering, God never instructed him. Chazal asked, wondering, Hashem never told him to make it out of bronze or copper. Why is he doing that? So Rashi says, because the word nachash and nachoshes, very similar to each other. So Moshe Rabbeinu made nachash and nachoshes. Put it up. Which means instructions for a time when there is an illness called corona. Look at the word. Look at the word as it is higher up. The coronation of the Eibishter. It's time of the coronation. Everything in the world is finished. We need to coronate God as a king to end this galus. Coronation of the Eibishter as a king is one with the coronation of Melech HaMashiach. The time has come for Melech HaMashiach to be coronated. This Nissan, no other time. We don't push it off. Who needs to coronate? Every Jew. Who? I don't know. You suggest. You have a better candidate? Find me a candidate. Find me a candidate who prepared the Jewish people for the Geula and said he's Mashiach and fits the Rambam. If you find me, so go ahead. I have a bunch of strange people that send emails here and so on who they say they're the one. I'm Mashiach, so forth. And I should announce. Should live and be well. But there's criteria. There's Rambam. How important is that we talk about this? I think the most important idea in the universe, from when the world was created and ever. You say, what? Yeah. Because Mashiach has to come. And Mashiach is a king. And the king is not a king until he's coronated. So we won't have Mashiach. So we might as well not have a world. We might as well not have an existence. So why are you harping on this? I don't think there's anything else to talk about right now. And it's the one thing that we're the most uncomfortable to do. So we have to get a little comfortable. We have to realize that we have to get out of ourselves. Chassidim, I know that not the whole world is not ready yet. Chassidim, what we need. And I think the world is ready. Because if we do a little explanation in the previous inyanim, it's going to be, this is the emes. If it's the emes, it's going to happen anyways. Shaila is how much of a participation are we going to be able to participate in it? You can be from the believers, you can be from the scoffers. Now it's cool to be from the scoffers. After Mashiach comes, it's going to be very cool to have been from the believers. If you need to make the transition, I'm telling you that you're running out of time. We're running out of time. We're really running out of time. Im lo yachshav emosai. Okay. All the above mentioned needs to be connected to the time of the beginning of the Nesius. Happens in Chodesh Nissan. Chodesh Nissan kasher minyan geula. Chodesh Nissan is connected with the idea of the geula. Kamayim Rezal. Chazal say Mishabachar Hakadosh Baruch Hu Ba'olamai Kaveh Be'Rosh Chadashim V'Shanim. When the Eibishter chose his world, he instituted Rosh Chodesh and years. Mishabachar beYaakov Ubanav Kaveh Boi Rosh Chodesh al Geula, he instituted a Rosh Chodesh of Geula, Shabai Nigalu Yisroel and Mitzrayim, in which the Jewish people were redeemed from Egypt, the Boy Asid and Ligoel, and in that month we will be redeemed. In other words, when God, very much from the very creation and the very fabric of existence, or when Hashem chose his world, and he chose the Jewish people, he instituted this month to be the month of Geula. That means it's in the very kishkis of the month. Shenema ki meitzeis chameres Mitzrayim and enu neflas. B'chodesh Nisan, in the month of Nisan. Kasher gamim inyan anasios. The month of Nisan is also connected to the idea of the Nasi. Be'echad b'Nisan is chilu anasiyim la'akriv es karbaneim. We know that the first 12 days of Chodesh Nisan, every day there's the carbon of the Nasi, the Chanukah Samizbach, Nasi echad l'yoyim. Shalachein therefore nehagim Rosh Chodesh ve'elech likres pashas anasi shekru be'yoyim. That's why every day we have the minhag to do the carbon of the Nasi. Now you take these two ideas. Nisan is connected to Geula, and Nisan is connected to a Nasi. Put them together, what do you have? Inyan Geula and then Anasias. You have the Geula and you have the Nasias. The leader and the Geula. That means we're talking about what? Talking about the leader of the Geula. It's simple. The leader of the Geula. Who's the leader in the period of the Geula? Who's the leader who leads the Geula? That's Mashiach. Here, remember I told you, when the Rebbe uses the word David Malka Mashiach, maybe it means David HaMelech. No, Nisiyasai of who? The leadership of David Malka Mashiach, Begeula Asida, in the Geula Asida. That means Mashiach. It's clear proof. And more specifically, Beis Nissan, B'yoyim Hasheni Hikri Nisan. Okay, that's a Nissan B'chlal. It's connected to the Nesias of Mashiach. Second day, Hikr Nisan ben Tzuar, Nasi Yisachar. He's the Nasi of Shevet Yisachar. It says without an extra shin, just one sin. Okay. So the Rebbe is now going to be medayik in this word, in his name. Nisanel ben Tzuar. Tzuar ugam loshen tsar. Tzuar comes from the word pain. Asherat tsar achi godalu. What's the biggest pain? Tsar hagolos. The pain of the exile. That's tsar. Ula'achrei tsar hagolos, and after the pain of the exile, shekvar yatzanu yedei chavoisai dai v'hoiser, we already fulfilled the obligation of paining the exile. Enough, we had enough of it. Kvi shemarach admar amtzai, like the Mittler Rebbe already says, benegei lo l'tzadeh shahaya ad yamav, when the Mittler Rebbe already 6 generations ago, is bemoaning the pains, and bemoaning, he's talking about the suffering of the Jewish people that were until his days. And especially after everything that passed. After the Mittler Rebbe we had, and the end of his life is when they started the Kantonisten taking the little kids to the army, and how many of them died and were killed, and afterwards all the pogroms, and afterwards the Holocaust, and the Arab-Israeli wars, and the terrorism, and the bloodshed that the Jewish people, pain and the tears that we've gone through is just not even describable, just in that short period. This should never happen. The Golos is soaked with tears and blood and pain. Noilad, so who is born? Ben Tzuar. We're talking about Ben Tzuar. What does that mean? Haschar, the reward, shenoiladu mizgale al yedei atzar. Ben means something that comes from, a child comes from the parent. The painting of the exile produces something. What does it produce? Tzayar lefim tzara agis. Chazal say, according to the pain is the gain. The reward is according to the pain. But loirak agra, it's not just reward. Schar lefi erech avoda, reward according to the avoda. El yaseirem ezem, more than that. Ba'oifen shel metzia. In other words, in the end we get, who do we get? We get the birth from the pain. We get the birth of Mashiach. He's the Ben Tzuar. He's the one that comes as a product of all the pain. But the Rebbe says his greatness is not just commensurate to the pain. That would have also made the Mashiach such an awesome, awesome being that he is commensurate to the pain. The Rebbe, however, says by Mashiach it says Matzasi Davidavdi. I found David. So what does that mean? That after all the pain, we should have a Mashiach. God is going to bring us a Mashiach. That's not just equivalent to this. He's going to suddenly, Metzia. Metzia is when you find something. When you find something, but it did not come as a result of your work, meaning to say, it's way beyond the toil that you've toiled. First, you got to toil. How do you know that? Maybe if it's just finding, then you can sit back and wait till you win the lottery. Now, the pasuk says, Yogaiti umatzasi. You have to put in toil. But we want to say that in the end, you're going to get something that's not commensurate to the toil. God is going to gift you. Once you see you working, Hashem is going to gift you with something that's much greater. And that's who our Mashiach is. He's not just measured in accordance to the size of the pain or what should have come from the pain. He is endlessly bigger than that. And that's the meaning of Ben Tsar, the pen, the child of the pain, but even bigger than that because Matzasi David Avdi. Umirum is gam b'shem Nisanel. That's Ben Tzuar. It's also hinted to in the name Nisanel. What's the name Nisanel? Shahat Tzah Detzar Hagolus Ben Tzuar. The outcome of the pains of exile, Ben Tzuar, hu Nisanel. Nosan Kel. Nosan Kel. Nisanel. Nosan Kel. God gives us the greatest gift. Nasan, and when the Rebbe's bedaik in every word, Nasan kol anoisen ba'ayin yafu. When someone gives a gift, he gives with the kindest eye. He's giving, but from where is he giving? From Kale. He's giving from the beginning. From the Kale we know is the first of the Yud Gimel Midas Arachmim, as the Kabbalists explain. Not Hashem, it's Kale. The Kama Deus, not everybody holds that way, but many Deus is the Kale is the first. Kale Avaya Vayor Lanu. Gilui Vamshachas Chasdei Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the revelation of God's kindness. Chesed Shelamayla Mishtal. So it's a very high level of kindness. Adla Chesed De Ikri. It's the ultimate Chesed. It's the kindness that Kale, that Nasan. And in other words, two things. The source from where it's giving has no limitations. It's kindness without an end. And the way it's given is in a way of a gift. And the way we receive it is in a way of finding. But ultimately, it's the pains and the suffering that brought us to this. Ben Tzuar. And that's Mashiach Tzidkenu. Geula mitis vashleima yedei Mashiach Tzidkenu. So everything we said before about giving life to the king, the Nasi and so on and so forth, is so printed that he says today, Beis Nissan. Nissan in general, and Beis Nissan, because with the whole Nasi is related to Mashiach Tzidkenu. And we can add, Gama Shaychis Legimel Nissan. We can continue this to the third day of Nissan. We're already at the end of Beis Nissan. Let's look at Tuesday. Tuesday is the Nasi for Shevet Zvulun. Chilik sheben Yisachar leZvulun, who the difference between Yisachar and Zvulun is Smach Zvulun b'tzeisecha v'Yisachar b'oyalecha. Yisachar stays indoors. Zvulun was the merchant. He supported Yisachar. Yisachar and Yana limud Torah. Yisachar is the idea of learning Torah. Zvulun ikar in Yana yatzia lepragmatya. Zvulun, his main inyan is going out to business. He also needs to set times for Torah. Okay. In Torah itself, he says, there's a difference. The Rebbe wants to say, in Limud Torah itself, there is Yisachar learning and Zvulun learning. Yisachar learning is going to be the learning after Mashiach comes, because we're not going to have any daigas. Yisachar, all his needs were taken care of. There was no distraction. Zvulun, he's learning, but first of all, he's only learning part day. Even when he's learning, he still has the business in his head. So today's days, when we're learning, we're not really learning, because we're not free to really give it all we've got. So, it's like the difference Chazal say about everybody has to be kovea itim and Torasa yamnasai, those whose Torah is their life or their profession. Now we'll understand the connection of Yisachar and Zvulun. Beis Nissan is Yisachar. Zvulun is what's it called again? The third day of Nissan. And how that connects to the Geula, after we have the Geula, that's Nisan al Ben Suar, Royin, we see, Shemaseinu v'avadeseinu b'limud ha-Torah b'zman hazeh, hu b'bchina zvulin, l'gaba limud ha-Torah d'la'asad lavai. After we complete, after the Geula, we're then going to realize that everything we've learned, that the Yisachar, that's the point, we're going to realize after we finish, I was learning like this, after we get to the Geula, Nisan al Ben Suar, which is the Indian of the Geula, we're suddenly going to realize that because people thought that they're Yisachar. We sat and we learned, we're going to realize, hey, now is when we're going to become Yisachar. Till now, our entire avodah was only on avodah of Zvulun, because our minds were always preoccupied. And then the learning is going to be Yisachar, but now it's Zvulun. Vehigdim Zvulun li Yisachar, and he brings in the bottom. That's why Chazal, that in the brachas that Moshe Rabbeinu gave, he puts Zvulun before Yisachar. Sheterasa shel Yisachar ayadei Zvulun hoisa. The Torah of Yisachar was through Zvulun, meaning to say, al derech maimer zal, ashrei misha balakan v'talmudei biyadei. You only have, Chazal say about in Gan Eden, that whoever learned Torah in this world gets to really learn Torah in the world to come. And this also applies Bizman Hazeh and Bizman HaMashiach. Learning Torah nowadays, then we will zocha to learn Torah in the future. Then it's going to be revealed also the quality of Zvulun. Okay. Then we're also going to see the quality of Zvulun, because we're going to realize that that's the cause for everything we're getting then is caused in the Zvulun. So even though it's going to be a much greater learning in the days of Yisachar and when Mashiach comes, but we're going to appreciate that the real quality was the days that we had a fadreta cup, we had our mind all over the place, because that learning produced this time. This is that the Beis Nissan then came out in Parshas Tzaz. In other words, to add, there's an additional remez that Beis Nissan came out on a Sunday of Parshas Tzav. That means now it's coming out Friday of Parshas Vayikra this year. That year it came out Sunday of Parshas Tzav, 2 days later. But what it's Gavaldik. Paschalas Parshas Tzav Mefarish Rashi. Rashi says the word Tzav. You see it by the Rebbe? Everything is Mashiach. Everywhere he looks is Mashiach. And every pasuk and every in. And he wanted us to become that way. Everything we see Mashiach immediately. Why everywhere he looked did he see Mashiach? Because he is Mashiach. If this is who you are, that's what you see everywhere. His entire being sees Mashiach. Everywhere he looks is Mashiach. Take a look. Nisan al Ben Suar, Mashiach. Yisachar Zavulun, Mashiach. Nissan, two things. Nasi and Geula, Melech HaMashiach. you realize what's going on over here? Everywhere he looks is anybody else? Every nekuda is Mashiach. Now let's take a look. Tzav. What does Rashi say on Tzav? Tzav loshen ziruz. That we should. Tzav means to cause a person to demanding agility, alacrity, miyad uladairis. Two things: to warn, to get it done now, and also that it's something that's permanent. So it's a zeros. You got to be very strong with this. Number one, don't procrastinate. Number two, don't let it wear off constantly. This emphasizes that everything we learned about Beis Nissan until now, regarding the Geula and regarding the Nesius, the leadership of David Malka Mashiach, which means of Mashiach Tzidkenu, all of this needs to happen quick. When we're standing in Chodesh Nissan, the month of Geula, we already went past Rosh Chodesh. We go into the regular days, like we're going right now, from Rosh Chodesh, which is considered above Yom HaMaisa, and going into Maisa, Beis Nissan. Specifically this year, Chayim Shana, 68 years to the Nesius of the Friediger Rebbe. So therefore, it's such an amazing Ba Melech HaMashiach. So Melech HaMashiach comes literally in the literal sense. Yechi HaMelech, the Rebbe says the words. In other words, Melech HaMashiach comes, which means long live the king, that Melech that we're calling Yechi to, that he told us earlier we should say Yechi to. If you didn't forget, he told you in last page that you should say Yechi HaMelech. Now, because it's 60th the Friediger Rebbe, you should say Yechi HaMelech to who? To him, to the Rebbe. And that Melech HaMashiach comes, Yechi HaMelech, Bizrizos Achi Gedoili, comes so quickly, take off a miyad mamish, instantly. This is supposed to add in our own service, in swiftness, this, regarding what does it say tzav, you should be very, very careful with. It's regarding removing the ashes from yesterday. Removing in the morning, there was a special mitzvah on the Mizbeach. On the altar, you would take off the ash from yesterday's burnt out ashes, put it on the side of the altar. Chazal have different opinions how many fires there were based on the words Eisham Mizbeach Tukad Bo. Even though the main parsha is not even talking about offering the carbon tamid. It's introductions to the avodah. Shem begeda the hechsher, they're only a preparation. The hechsher de hechsher, it's not only a preparation, but some of it is a preparation for a preparation. For example, Trumas Hadeshen is to remove yesterday's ashes and clean the mizbeach, and then later you put the wood, which is only a preparation to offer the actual carbon. And then adding the 2 extra pieces of wood that you're supposed to add every day. Then you have to prepare all the utensils. And after they start preparing the tamid, the Rebbe is showing how there's a bunch of steps that still need to happen. You have to wait until they would look on the roof, until the east side is lichtik. Even the preparations need to be done in a manner of alacrity. Ain't tzaveh loshen zeros. This is coming to teach man. The idea of a rushing up, that by a mitzvah you're supposed to do it with swiftness. Not just regarding a mitzvah. Even the preparation for a mitzvah has to be done. Regarding giving tzedakah, especially now when you're supposed to give special money for Pesach to the needy. Mitzvah klaus hashkula connected kol mitzvahs. Now the reason why we're starting with tzedakah, this is why we're specifying tzedakah, is because it's a very unique mitzvah. There needs to be zerizus not only in giving tzedakah in the literal sense, but also in the preparation for the mitzvah. Heichal ma'ashaka v'tarya al derech kabbalah sachlot toiva gam kasher akim b'poil yesh li'sach hazman. Beginning already by beginning to discuss how you're going to give the tzedakah, even if you're in a time like Shabbos when you're not allowed to actually give tzedakah mamish. We can say that Zrizus is also connected to the Geula. That we find that by Avram Avinu, that the main schus of the Akedah, the Alter Rebbe says, was Zrizus. So the same is also, and he says over there, that our Zrizus and tzedakah, that which is so important, is Gedolah Tzedakah Shemakareves as a Geula. So we see how important this is for the Geula, and there's Rizus in it. So Mashiach has to come fast. We got to get on things fast and not procrastinate. And the main thing is the action. We got to finish up, the Rebbe says. We got to finish up. We have to finish all the work. And finishing all the work means that we have to also get on God's case. We have to bakasha, we have to plead, and we have to demand ad masai. How much longer? V'achraza yechi melech. Let's get that job done also. Call out and not get cold feet, but get it through to the end. Get it done. Especially now that we're holding at the very end of the B'nai Shalom. And everybody is so scared. So scared. So scared that the B'nai Shalom, we're scared. And the Yetzer Hara is such a liar. He's such a chevraman. He's such a despicable monster. He created that the highest avodah should become so taboo and so laughed at. So I hate him. That's all I can say. Because it's despicable. We're dealing with what the Rebbe is speaking over here. The Tzaddik Hador, after all the generations, have done all their work. And he's saying that this is the last work. And we should swift it up. Kumen Yetzer Hara and dreid a cup and made it that, you can't. But you know what? Time's over. This is it. That we should be machriz. Let long live the king David Malka Mashiach. We should do it so quickly. Do it joyfully and with life. These in Yonim, joy and life, is particularly emphasized this year. Shnas Tismach. That was the year of Tashim Mem Ches, which stands for the word Tismach, be happy. Tismach usesamach, being happy yourself and causing other people to be happy. V'chayim, and life. And simcha and life, it's a year of life. We cause God to move fast. God has to move fast because Hashem is a kayan, and by kahanim it says kahanim zrizim hem. Kahanim are quick. Ligolas b'nei Yisroel, that the Eibishter should redeem the Jewish people. B'zrizus hachi gedola, in the quickest way. Take off from a yad mama, should be done immediately. Lo ikvan hamakom ke'eref ayin. The Eibishter doesn't hold them back even for a split second. Zois va'oid, more than this. Kvoid kedushas, we're already holding the last page. We'll do it quickly. Zois va'oid. Kvoid kedushas maricham yad v'nasider einu pasak b'shai toy oz. Talk about doing it quickly. We want the Eibishter to do it quickly. That what? And we should do it quickly. The Friediger Rebbe Paskin, in his time, that we finished everything already. All that's left over is only polishing the buttons. Already passed tens of years, more than 38 years. The Rebbe says it's already more than 38 years. The Friediger Rebbe, in the end of his life, said, we finished everything. All we need to do is polish the buttons. The Rebbe says, so we're already 38 years that we're polishing buttons. It's for sure definite that in our days, we've already finished the work of polishing the buttons. Polishing the button was the last thing you did after you finished cleaning a suit or repairing it, or even making it. The last thing was polish the buttons of the officer. It should really sparkle. So we finished doing all the work to free the get the last little thing, a little polish. And now the Rebbe adds, wow. Ulaheir, the Rebbe says, you're not supposed to polish buttons more than the amount. Why? You see, literally, you're going to keep on rubbing and rubbing and rubbing the button. You're actually going to cause the button to start rubbing out, and it's going to become less beautiful. So the Rebbe was begging us already back in 1990, 1999. We finished the work. All we need is to be Makabel Pnei Mashiach. We decided we still have to work. No, Rebbe, we can't be Makabel Pnei Mashiach. We can't be Makabel Pnei Mashiach because it's going to ruin our work in spreading Yiddishkeit. But the Rebbe says, we finished the work. You're ruining the buttons. We have to do more. No. We have to do more because if we're going to come get Jews to be Makabel Pnei Mashiach, then maybe it's going to ruin our work and our Chabad houses. It's going to ruin our work and our Maayon. You finished the buttons already. You're going to polish the buttons more. Are you fixing something? So here we are so many years later, and we're stuck with the situation that we're in right now, that no one needs. Like a hole in my head. We don't need this. We should have avoided all of this. But at least now, let's get this done. So for sure, the Rebbe says, we're done already. It's interesting, he brings up Leheyer when he says that you're not supposed to polish the buttons more than enough. Leheyer shegam b'chanukas hamazbeach b'chodesh Nissan mudgish inyan loy pachsu v'loy hasiru. Even by the chanukas hamazbeach, it's emphasized. Not less, not more. It's enough already. Loy riba v'loy miyat. It brings a source to that. Not more. So we've done already the amount that is necessary. We don't need to do more. Now, for sure, the Eibishter's Rizos has to come out. To bring the Geula immediately. The taker from Miyad, and immediately Mekayim Matzivoy, we're going to actually be able to fulfill the Tzivoy of Zois Tyrus Oila, who are Oila Moitam Spech Kalalayla, Ubir Ala Koin Eitzim Baboiker Baboiker. That they're going to be able to add wood on the Mizbeach of the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi. Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, Ashli Yosem Mikdash Ad Nekoni Yadecha. Since this is the ultimate Beis HaMikdash, Binyana de Kutsha Berichu, it's the building of God. Shabonu Yom Meshuchlo Yegala V'Yavim En HaShamayim. Yachol B'Meila Tzarech Leiro De Lizgalas Lamata Afilu B'Layla B'Layla Zemamish. The Beis HaMikdash should come down and needs to come down even by night, literally this night. U'Ba'ofen Shetachzeno Einenu, our eyes should see already. Einei Basar B'Guf Shal Basar. Physical eyes that are in a physical body. Neshamas begufim, souls while we're in bodies. God says, I'm going to give you a heart of flesh. Leiv chadash v'ruach chadasha. A new heart and a ruach chadasha, and a new spirit. Then the Rebbe brings the whole idea of baboiker, the Pirush Adar Achayim, how the time of the Geula began with the time of the Baal Shem Tov. That time, Karagel, Yesh L'Sayim ben Asin Shlichus Mitzvah L'Tzedakah. The Rebbe says, like it is the custom, we're going to conclude by giving out money for tzedakah. A Makareves HaSegula that brings the Geula by Safal and Asin Shlichus Mitzvah L'Tzedakah B'Tcholas Hayom. In addition to giving Shlichus Mitzvah L'Tzedakah that we've done at the beginning of the day, to add now tzedakah. Know that this that we start the day and end the day with tzedakah. Well, it's similar to the carbon tamid that we brought a carbon tamid in the morning and at night. Anything after since today's days, what do we have? We have tefillos. Tefillos b'makom tamidim tikkun. Tefillos shachris keneged tamid shal shachar. Tefillos mincha keneged tamid ben abayim. Tefillos arvis keneged evidim aperodim. Psakten ha'shulchan aruch yav prutal ani v'hadam matzlam. Now, when you come to daven, you have to give tzedakah first. So since davening replaces the carbon tamid, which is the beginning of the day, carbon tamid shal ben abayim, which is the end of the day, so tzedakah applies in both ends. Yiratzen, let it be the will shachlata al derech nesinas tzedakah. The decision to give tzedakah, tavi take of eschar, should bring immediately the reward. Shemakareves hasagula that brings the geula. They David Malka Mashiach. Through David Malka Mashiach. Ubepashtis hine zeba Mashiach tzedkeinu Mashiach comes. The Yigaleinu will redeem us kolanu yachtav, all of us together. B'toich Klal Yisrael, amongst all the Jewish people. B'neirenu b'skeneinu b'neinu b'neseinu b'frat b'shan azuz, particularly in this year. Shnas Hakel, which is a year of Hakel. Hakel Tzam Nashim Batav. Gather everybody together. Kahal Gadol Yeshuvu Heina, a big congregation will gather here, including all the generations that were before us. Everybody will come back to life. And specifically, the righteous woman of the generation, based on what it's stated in the writings of the Arisha, that our generation, the last generation of exile, the first generation of Geula, who Gilgul Shaladar Shayatzim Mitzrayim, is the Gilgul of the generation that went out of Mitzrayim. It's a reincarnation, the Rebbe says. So just like Yitzis Mitzrayim was in the merit of Nashim Tzidkaniyos, Beis Adar, which were in that generation, the Geula in this generation will be in the merit of the righteous women, that's in our generation. I guess the women will be the ones who will break through with this idea of everything we've discussed. How did Rebbe suddenly bring in women over here? What's the whole? I wasn't talking about women. Because it seems like the women are more excited and more devoted and completely more involved in whatever we learned tonight. Hopefully, it will spread. Hopefully, we don't have to. Hopefully, we've done enough. Just by learning this should be already yoytze given, and we should already merit. The complete redemption, let it be now. Wow. Small little sikha. This is one of the sikhas where the Rebbe parts the curtain like this. This is one of most of these type of sikhas started in 1991, 1992. Here in Tafshim Mem Ches, there suddenly was one of these earth-shattering sikhas where the Rebbe went like this, parted the curtain, and then afterwards put it semi-back, but very, very special. Okay, everyone, the main thing is simcha and joy. We'll get over the corona, we'll convert the corona to what it really is. L'chaim, l'bracha, gut m'chodesh, and may the schus, the Rebbe Rashab of 100 years, shine upon us all. May the schus of his son, Friediger Rebbe, who's now celebrating his 100th year of leadership, may the merit of our Rebbe take us out of Golus now. L'chaim.